Hello, everybody. Today, oh, very bad. For the obstacle, the Nine of Swords. Look at that sad, terrifying card. Okay. Opportunity, Knight of Pentacles. Bonk. So let's get started here. Nines. We just had a nine yesterday in the obstacle. It's kind of like the inverted, I guess. And we got one. We got one again. Um, Nine of Swords. Okay, so this is like ideas. The ideas, the information, the language, it just keeps coming. It just keeps changing. Things are things are being redefined. There's new knowledge being uncovered. Old old experiences are are being described differently. It's it's a chaotic nightmare. Um, there's no order to it, and it seems like it can't keep going. And symbolically, this is pretty much the last card in the suit of swords. The 10 that follows isn't isn't in my opinion so much a part of the journey through that suit. It's just it represents the totality, the total theme of the suit, the same way as the aces kind of represent the totality of it. So in a lot of ways, this is the last card that is active, where any changes are happening, um, and and yeah, this could be a rough time. It could, even if the ideas that are overwhelming the person are interesting and good, this could still be like a stimulus overload, and it could be really chaotic in the sense that if you're constantly presented with new interpretations of the same thing, let's say who you are, how much things are worth, how dangerous something is, or how safe something is. If you're constantly provided with information that is just redefining what you thought it was, it's an incredibly chaotic situation, because you just want you just want to know what things are, and as soon as you think you learn, so like right now, pretty pretty good example, I guess, with a lot of the current uh, pandemic, news articles. People are just like, where I'm living right now, it's like it's safe. We're opening back up. Here are the percentages of the things, and this is what they mean. And then like a week later, it's like we're closing down, we're shutting it down, we're locking everything up. Here are the percentages. Here are the numbers. Here are the new experts that have a different take on things. It's just back and forth, back and forth. It's like there is a reality that actually exists outside of the narratives that use these numbers and figures and statistics, but it's very difficult for any of us to interact with the real world directly. What we really interact with is our perceived statistics and interpretations of that world. I mean, unless you're like a practicing Zen master and you're just in that state all the time, right? But it's like when you could move into a neighborhood where like a crime hasn't happened in a really long time, but if the neighborhood has a reputation for having, it's 10 times more likely you'll get stabbed there than somewhere else. Like, although statistically that could be true, but like going from a 1 in 10 million chance of getting stabbed to a 1 in a million chance, it's sure that's 10 times more, but it's still incredibly unlikely, right? But this is often like one of those things where, depending on which part of the information or the data you use to create your worldview, can just keep shifting around, redefining things. And a thing this reminds me of that's kind of funny is like smoking cessation uh, aids. Like the nicotine gum, right on the front, it'll say like triples your triples your success rate, triples your ability to successfully quit smoking. And there's a little asterisk. And if you look it up, if you track down, it's like, yeah, it increases the likelihood of you quitting smoking from 0.2% to 0.6% or something like that. When you see that, it's not as impressive as the other thing. But anyway, so I think this is a state of being overwhelmed. I think more so with chaos than with the order of numbers and information. And I think a feeling that it's like you're at your limit. You just don't have room to keep adding more information. There's just no more room for stuff. It's just piling up. Just layers and layers and layers. The sword in the Marseille card is yellow, symbolizing thoughts and the intellect and the mind. For the first time, the other swords are red, possibly interpreted as being sheathed in like the will to move them. There's a blue one, receptive, spiritual kind of feeling. But this last one is definitely an idea, and it's cracking. It's the last new idea. This is a rough time, and with a lot of the the way that I interpret the obstacles often is like all of these cards symbolize a stop along a journey that should be moving, evolving, growing, advancing. And then often these obstacles indicate that it's something that's stopping you. You're stagnating at this point. The idea is to keep going, but for some reason you're kind of stopping at this point. And it requires some next level thinking and conceptualization to start thinking of things on a meta level. So like the phrase the only constant is change. Like that sounds like a paradoxical statement, but it is referring to one state of things which is constantly changing, and then it's referring to a meta state that describes that first one. The meta state is like one layer above it. And I think that the next step signifies some sort of realization of the totality of conceptualization, and it's rigid and limiting. The 10 that is meant to follow this is rigid and limiting, and I think that could be one of the reasons why people resist moving forward, going with the flow and changing, because it could be pretty scary to stare some sort of finality in the face and to accept that when it comes to knowing, really the one thing that you can know for sure is that you will never know anything for sure. That could be, or at least that could be one interpretation of something like the 10, I certainly don't think that the 10 represents total knowledge and total information control and language. It's but so I think the resistance here, as always, in a sense, is resisting to go forward and just keep dealing with these new things. But yeah, this is pretty rough. It's good to, I think, realize that its basis is in ideas and concepts, not, let's say, feelings or relationships or like actions, activity, physical activity, creative activity. It's not based on money. It's not like a lack of food or shelter or clothing, or it's just idea torment. It's just the ideas. And I think it's good to remember that those ideas are just ways of representing the reality, right? They're not the reality themselves. They're narratives, they're descriptions, they're symbols. They could change. They could be replaced by other narratives. And on the flip side, super happy, optimistic time. Got the king or the Knight of Pentacles. The Cavalier de Derniers. Some interesting differences here between the cards. The Waite card, the Knight is standing still. The other one, the Marseille, is moving. One is holding the symbol representing, you know, value, material value, resources, goods, things like that. The other one, it's like hovering in the air. It's like he's following this, maybe this idea of it, this vision of it. One of the things that I really like about the Marseille one is the Knight is holding a wand, and I think this is this represents where this suit goes to after the suit of Pentacles wraps up. The next one that starts is the Wands, and the Knight of Pentacles is like the third last card. You got the Knight, the 9, then the 10, and then the next card after that would be the Ace of Wands, or at least according to the system of interpretation that I ascribe to. And I think the Knight symbolizes more so an individual as opposed to a situation that you could find yourself reacting to. I think the Knight of Pentacles is an individual who is, they're moving very quickly. This is someone who is really hustling. They and got to make some choices in the interpretation here between the Marseille and the Waite. I prefer the Marseille. I think this is someone who has gotten a pretty strong grasp and understanding of the place that he's in. Like he's gotten a really good lay of the land. It's someone who's very familiar with the territory. It's someone who is pursuing the last big step of a project. It's they're in the last leg of the race, and it is something that they're building something big. It could be a company. They could be working on themselves in the sense that it could be like a political career, something along those lines. It could be something related to personal beauty, but also personal wealth. It could be someone putting the last touches on building a house, or maybe even like a whole complex or something like that. It's big last step of a project, and this individual is they're moving forward quickly. They're active, and they're ready to transition to the stage where they embrace this new modality of behaving, where they're ready to transition from this kind of gathering, resource building, to the physically active, the creative, and also potentially like the sexual and impulsive. But yeah, this kind of individual being present in your life, this could present a lot of opportunities. The opportunity, I kind of look at this as like, who in your life is getting shit done. They're almost wrapping up their project. They're going to start working. They're going to start creating some stuff soon. And I would guess that the opportunity here is to, like, maybe this is the last chance to get on board with this individual, right? Like, maybe this was someone who before was more like the King of Pentacles, kind of considering, looking around, surveying things, managing a substantial wealth, but not yet really looking out to new ventures, to new horizons, new territories, right? But now they've been moving. They're getting to that final stage. Yeah, so I think the opportunity to, start working with this person, the next step this person is going to be interested in, or the next thing they're going to need to do, is embrace that transformation into the creative, physical, you know, yeah, impulsive, sexual kind of modality of being. If that's a job, you could provide, like the sexual. If the sexual is a job you could provide, um, but yeah, creative, active. It's there's a certain type of person who is really good at managing and building and moving money, but maybe not so much in, you know, moving human bodies around and getting stuff done and building physical things, right? I definitely see wands as a suit that symbolizes the kind of construction of, more active, tangible, kind of moving things, human capital, human resources, um, yeah, and just creative, passionate energy. So I think that the opportunity here is to maybe join up with this person's quest, the last stretch of their quest. And this is someone who's getting stuff done. Could take advantage of that. That's it for today. Don't nightmare too hard. The this could be resolved in seeing things from an even higher vantage point, an even higher perspective. And by the way, the next, after the totality of the 10 of swords, which if you look at the Waite deck, looks pretty grim. I just see it more as being fully consumed and kind of and pinned down with that perspective, with that outlook. But the next stage is cups, and I think it's a significant, nice thought to think that, you could, like, this is a crisis of ideas because you can only get so far with ideas. And there are things that exist underneath ideas. There are feelings, there are intuitions, there are relationships that people always try to describe with words, like the four of swords is a cool example, I think, of, human beings creating vast historical, legacies, leaving behind legacies of works that they created, describing all the different emotions and feelings and things that they did. But as great as those things are, nonetheless, they don't, nothing fully ever captures really being in that moment, experiencing those emotions, being able to work on intuition. All the love songs in the world with, their beautiful words and really clever ideas and turns of phrase, they still don't measure up to the actual experiences. And that's when this suit finishes up. The next suit is cups. It's the next step. So that could be something to look forward to and embrace the transition into that. And then, yeah, this guy, figure out who this person is, and they're gonna need, if there's creative stuff that you could do, if there's action oriented, physical action oriented stuff that you like to do, there could certainly be an opportunity to find a place amongst the ranks of the kind of organization or structure that this individual is building. That's it for today. Thanks for listening. I'll see you tomorrow. Take care.